welcome back to the 505 Sports Venture Foundation program. I'm Kurt Roth, and we're here weekly to discuss what's going on at UNM with athletics, name, image, and likeness, and everything else that might happen. Occasionally we'll talk about something else, NBA Finals. We're going to skip that this week because if you follow college sports, you're quite aware that what's going on is new, it's unprecedented, and it's quite radical. And we're talking about the House settlement, which a week ago or last Friday was settled in theory in federal court in San Francisco. So what that means in a nutshell is now the universities that have scholarship athletes on the Division I level can pay name, image, and likeness funds through what they call revenue sharing to the student athletes. So the first question is, what does that mean for the university, and in this case, specifically UNM? Well, we have a special guest, and we'll get with him in a second, and he's going to address that directly and everything else House settlement related. People have been asking me, well, what does that mean for 505 SVF? Does that mean you guys are done? And it actually means quite the opposite. There's a memo that Fern Lovo put out, athletic director at UNM, a couple days ago. I'd ask you to go to golobos.com and check it out. He mentioned the ultimate collaboration with UNM and 505 SVF. And just to put it in a nutshell, the cap that the settlement allows is approximately $20 million per university. Until UNM gets to the $20 million budget, 505 SVF will be there working to accentuate that amount. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back to talk all about this and probably confuse you more. So stay with us.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
From the Sandia foothills to the banks of the Rio Grande, generations of families remain. For 5 generations, Gallus Chevrolet has handed down values written in stone, leading the way under sun-filled skies, past the vintage glow of Route 66. Built by generations past, built for generations to come. This is New Mexico. This is Gallus.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Again, I'm Kurt Roth. We're here at the 505 Sports Foundation, Sports Venture Foundation, SVF program. Come to you every week. I also want to thank, before we start, Steve Davis, the president of ProView, for giving us this opportunity. Adrian from Long Beach behind the window here, our producer who makes this happen every week. All right, House settlement. What does it mean to UNM? I want to introduce our guest. He's been on the program before, Jalen Dominguez. Jalen, thanks for coming. Jalen is Deputy Athletic Director and Chief Revenue Officer at UNM. So now we have heard everything. We have heard all sorts of innuendo, rumors. There's no need for that because this is a piece of paper, this settlement, and it means that the student athletes can receive income from the University of New Mexico at this level. That's correct.
That is correct.
Okay. So how does it now, on a day-to-day basis, how does it change the operation of the athletic department?
Yeah, first, Kurt, appreciate having me on. Thank you for that opportunity. I think what's important is a lot of people think that the House settlement may have just fallen out of the sky in the last week or couple weeks. This has been an ongoing development in college athletics in our industry for an extended period of time now. So there's been a lot of time and preparation that we've put in the athletic department in cooperation with 505 to prepare for what we consider an opportunity for our student athletes. So how does it change on a day-to-day level? What it basically means is now we have the ability to directly compensate our student athletes and share our revenues with them for the incredible work they're doing and continuing to push our programs and our mission forward. And so previously, we have been very fortunate to have 505 SVF as an organization be a collaborator, a partner, and a leader in the industry to help us kind of bridge a gap period where they would taking on the lion's share of the responsibility, where we support them to the best of our ability, where we could over the last several years. And now what gets to happen is we get to step up as a partner with 505 and continue to push forward while taking on the obligation, the opportunity to directly compensate student athletes moving forward.
Well, great. Yeah, that's a great way to explain it. Really, and I think part of what I'm getting on the public reaction is, oh my goodness, this is so radical. 90% of this settlement was in place in October of last year. And the court decided that it was a radical change. This is my impression as a lawyer. It was a radical change, and they needed input from other sides, the other groups. Because from a bargaining point of view, if you're a union person, and I grew up in union families, the students had very little say in this. Right. So the judge took input from all sorts of different areas. She did make adjustments in roster size and tried to compensate for that. But from my point of view, and I hadn't seen this, you mentioned it this morning, already we have lawsuits coming out of the settlement, correct? You've seen that.
Correct. Those are starting to surface. You're going to start seeing them probably pop up around the country a little bit. I mean, if you look through the history of the NCAA or the history of college athletics, there's been some pretty monumental moments from its inception to Title IX, and I would say this is up there. If it's not in the top 3, it's in the top 5 in terms of seismic shifts in our industry, and one that probably should have happened a long time ago. I think as an industry, its unwillingness to adapt has led to this being a little bit more of a dramatic process than it has to be, because at the end of the day, what's going to take place now is increased opportunity. And personally, and on behalf of Lobo Athletics, we never want to stand in the way of increasing the opportunity for our student athletes. And while we do so, it's also going to increase our opportunity to grow our programs and be more successful. That, of course, then leads to bigger picture impact into our community. And so while there's a lot of different nuances that comes from the House settlement in terms of roster management and revenue sharing, at the end of the day, what it's going to do is be a differentiator across our industry. It's going to be a choice by an institution, by a community, into what role they want to play in the success of our athletic programs, and therefore enjoy the outcomes that happen on a much bigger scale across our entire state when those programs are successful. Fortunately, UNM, we have a community that supports us, we have a state that's supporting us, and a leadership of our institution is supporting us. So we have already, I would say, gained significant distance on the field, if you will, of our peers through this settlement.
I agree with that 100%. A couple of quick things, and this goes back to when you said we've gained advantage among our peers, and I consider our peers still today what is the Mountain West. Now, we all know that's changing. I had a discussion at a Lobo football game with potential donors, UNM graduates, 3 years ago. And they looked at me when I first told them what I was doing, and no one really knew what we were doing. It was brand new. I don't even know if we had signed a basketball player yet. And they looked at me, and one of the guys said, "We can't compete with Texas." And I looked at him and said, "Well, I think we can." I said, "But," I pointed on the field, "we're playing Boise State, and we better compete with Boise State." So that kind of ended that conversation. And that's been my point up till now and day to day, is that with the help of UNM, now the collective hasn't existed on its own. We have gotten great help starting around the Bronco hire. There was a realization when we were interviewing football coaches that NIL was vital. Starting around then, UNM has been a great partner. We'll talk about the Lobo Alliance that was formed over a year ago. but it's a necessity for us going forward to be at the top level among our peers. You mentioned the 3 levels of support: state, community, and school. This is I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I say this all the time. These are our teams. You can call them our pro teams. We're not rooting. The Albuquerque Sun Dogs aren't playing in the NBA Finals. There's no football game against the Dallas Cowboys. That's Arizona. These are our teams, and we need to keep them competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's obviously, as we talk about the settlement, we talk about the differences in terms of operations of how it looks for Lobo Athletics. I think a lot of people sometimes get lost in that, and they lose sight of the bigger picture goals we're trying to accomplish. And I think people were uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. They see an industry going through an operational shift, and I don't think that probably 3 years ago, Kurt, people were really ready to understand that the path may be changing, but the destination is the same. And our organizations, 505, the Lobo Club, Lobo Athletic, all shared the same goals, and they were worthy of pursuit. So not to get lost in the distraction of what's happening operationally and focus on the end results that are both achievable and worthwhile. And I think over the last 3 years, we've started to see that. And I think holistically, we're bringing that approach to Lobo Athletics, state, institution, community. And if that happens, it's amazing what can come.
Out. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to go sell you some stuff here for a minute, and we'll be right back with Jalen. Stay with us.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
I'm a Blaze King customer, and I have been for the last 10 years. Blaze King stoves are very efficient, they're easy to maintain, and they use a lot less wood than you would typically use with a fireplace.
Blaze King, that's a fire.
The heat is on when it's a Blaze King wood stove, controlling heat up to 40 hours on a single load of wood with a built-in thermostat. See for yourself at either Blaze King showroom, Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Blaze King, and now that's a fire.
We've been trained, conditioned, and rewarded for doing more. But people weren't designed for all that doing. Our bodies need to settle into nothing from time to time. Into nothing at all. In a world obsessed with doing more, we invite you to undo.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
I'm a Blaze King customer, and I have been for the last 10 years. Blaze
Okay, everybody, welcome back. I'm Kurt Roth. This is 505 SVF program. We've got Jalen Dominguez from UNM here, and we have so little time to talk about so much. But I was trying to make a point about this being New Mexico's teams. UNM Athletics are New Mexico's teams. We have a couple of nice minor league franchises, and they're great. And I actually was at a United game with some of our new football players this weekend, and we can talk about those opportunities. But the major leagues, the top 25, national rank, national champions. We might have a couple national champions this weekend in Eugene at track.
That's the goal.
These are our athletes, and we were just going back because over past history. For those who follow us on our website and are part of our team at 505sports.org, we will have some information this week about our new basketball team. A lot of the guys are here. We'll be visiting workouts and talking with them. A lot of football guys are here, ready to play, ready to work out. We've met with them. They're great, great stories. but we just reviewed the history, and at 505, we did take a leap of faith. We thought that this was a necessity, and we focused on men's basketball. We went from a team that won 4 games to a new coach to, in his second year, the last undefeated team in the country, to his third year, Mountain West tournament winners on an amazing run, to the last year, dominating the regular season, making this big dance for the second time, smoking a Big East team in the first round, up by 10 over Michigan State in the first half. Incredible year. And then under the new deal, it all disappears. Coaching staff leaves, every player. And because of the collaboration between UNM and 505, the cupboard wasn't bare. The people were bare, but immediately the search went on. A top-notch, highly coveted coach was hired. And as soon as the visa things work out, and they will, we will have one of the most competitive rosters in the Mountain West for men's basketball, all because the foundation was set. So now it's time to build on that foundation. No?
Absolutely. You know, Kurt, you bring up an important point. 505, and you personally, took a risk. You took a risk 3.5 years ago, bet on yourselves, bet on this place, bet on this community. And it took a leap of faith, not just from you, but from our supporters, to all come together. We asked for an investment, and we promised an outcome. And as the confetti fell in the pit in front of 15,000, I think that initial mission was accomplished. Now that's just a stop on the journey, right? The goal is to continue. And I think what's critical, I'm going to use a word that almost nobody uses when it comes to NIL or revenue share, and that's efficient. It was an efficient approach for us to be able to use a strategic investment that was going to produce an outcome that was greater than ourselves. I love sport. I want to win. The scoreboard means a lot to me, but it's not nearly as powerful as what I feel when I walk into the pit and there's 15,000 New Mexicans from all parts of our city, our state, our community. They might have different affluencies or political views, but they're all Lobos in that gym that night, and they're all together. And that's such a powerful thing that I would challenge other people in the state to find another place that can bring our community together the way Lobo Athletics can. But what happened through 505's work over the last 4 years isn't just stopping here. What they did is created a foundation. And we've invested into a foundation of success that allows us to recruit and retain high-level coaches and talent that continue to push our program forward. So again, yes, we had an amazing run with Richard Pitino. Great person, great coach. I'm going to miss him. Some incredible players. But because of the investment and the risk that 505 took, it established a foundation that allows us to continue to build successful programs year in and year out moving forward. And that's the goal. It wasn't just to have success, it was to sustain it. And 505's built a foundation that the Lobo Athletics can continue to work collaboratively with you on to continue it.
Well, I agree with that 100%. We have the foundation, and it was evident when we hired first Jason Eck and then Eric Olin. They were ready to jump in because the support was there, the structure was there, and as there's a partial handoff going on in the next couple of weeks, but our goals are the same, they'll remain the same, the collaboration remains the same. You mentioned Richard Pitino. I consider Richard a professional friend, but for those who are mad at him, I have a little story for you. We talked about it off camera. Last week, his dad, some of you know him, Rick Pitino, Hall of Fame coach, threw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium. He's a big Yankee fan. They did a little interview with him, and they mentioned that this season he was going to play his son. And they asked him about it, what he thought, and he looked at the camera and said, well, you know, I raised 5 kids, I think, or 6 kids. He said, I never hit one of my kids my whole life. He goes, but I'm going to spank that little guy twice this year. So I love that. He threw down. Richard didn't comment directly. He just called on the Xavier fans to respond. I guarantee if he called on the New Mexico fans, he would have got a much greater response than he got in Southern Ohio. Okay, so now we're set up for basketball. We know what we have. Last year, in the pit, the game when the confetti came down was one of the best games that I had seen. And that venue, that place is iconic. That's taken care of. So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the next venue that's going to be great, and that's the football field. And we're going to develop that, and that's next. So we're going to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be back to talk more with Jalen Dominguez.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
I might not be in the cage as much anymore. Just like riding a bicycle, I can pick up the fight from where I left off. I'm not some slick-haired outsider posing with borrowed gloves. I grew up here. New Mexico is in my blood. I'm a New Mexican fighting for other New Mexicans. I'm Adam Oki. I'll be your champion in the courtroom.
ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans. I received my bachelor's degree at NMSU and earned my law degree at UNM. I can proudly say I'm both an Aggie and a Lobo. Call now and I will meet with you. 40 years strong and we're still as local as red and green.
Anyway, welcome back. This is I'm Kurt Roth. This is the 505 SVF program. I've got Jalen Dominguez from UNM Athletics here. House settlement, big news. It's in effect. The settlement itself, we've talked about, has been on the table for over a year, literally in court, almost done since October. In the press, for those who follow it, we could see the suggested changes, the problems, and the problems will continue. Lawsuits are being filed. But as to UNM, it's being implemented. We're excited. We both believe basketball's in a great place. And the sleeping giant. And everybody, I get too much negativity here, but UNM football's a sleeping giant. Jason Eck, incredible guy. If you haven't seen Jason Eck in public, you don't go out at night. Incredible guy, great staff, open. It's like it's a clear easel. Let's paint a great picture. No,
absolutely. Coach Eck is an incredible coach. I was fortunate to be able to serve with Fernando Lobo on his, I think, second week of the job as we went out to look for Broncos replacement. And simply we talk about the foundations being invested in. Danny Gonzalez, who I consider a friend, an amazing person, had really built that program up culturally. Bronco, albeit in his one short year, helped continue to ignite the belief in that program. And what that led to was an incredibly competitive process with some amazing coaches interested in the New Mexico Lobo football job, which not everyone would think would be the case. Coach Eck has an amazing amount, a wealth of experience under some tremendous minds, some of the best in college football. But gravitated to him was really two things. One, he had taken his 20-plus years of experience and he had created his own formula, his own system, and he got the chance to implement it at Idaho, a place that had not had any success or limited success in a long time, and took him to unprecedented heights immediately. The second was who he was as a person. Just as you mentioned, you can't spend 30 seconds in a room with Jason Eck and not want to gravitate towards him. Whether you're a community member, a past, an alumni, or fortunately for us also a recruit, he's infectious with his personality, his charisma, and just being a genuine good guy. He's the perfect leader for Lobo football. And we refuse to believe that there's anything out there that says Lobo football can't be successful. And the foundation that we have been continuing to strive to build for football in terms of resources and stability has grown significantly over the last few years. And the goal is to continue to grow that. There's no reason why we can't compete at the top of the conference, and we think we have the right person and the right system in place that'll lead us to do that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I've been around these guys starting in the spring. We have currently something about 50 players under contract with 505. Some of that will be assumed by UNM as we go into July. But we've worked closely with these guys. We're very, very confident about the success. And hey, New Mexico, UNM Lobo football tickets are the best deal in town. They're on sale now. Go to golobos.com. Sign up. You can have a great deal. The seats are great that are available. Get on the bandwagon early because it's going to get really full. golobos.com. Go buy season tickets. Okay, so internally, a lot of work. Transfer stuff's going on. New obligations. But the future is bright at UNM with revenue sharing as long as our community steps up and just participates, as they always have. What do we need to do next?
Yeah, I think it's important that our community knows that our goal at Lobo Athletics isn't simply to survive this transition, if you will, or survive in this new landscape. It's to thrive. We're being innovative, we're being aggressive, and we're determined that we are going to not only be able to enjoy the successes we currently are, look at the championships, most of the Mountain West, look at the academics, top of the conference, but we're going to grow those. And that only happens if we do it together. It's a decision. It's a decision that each one of us gets to make in our own way of how you can be a difference maker for this program and for these communities. That could be buying tickets. That's a great start. That could be donating to the Lobo Alliance or to scholarships. That could be just a voice of support in the community or wearing your Lobo gear out when you're about in the community, right? It's just everyone figuring out what they can do, not trying to solve all of our problems themselves or create new paths by themselves, but collectively, everyone can make a decision that would go together and piece the puzzle together that'll allow us to do some amazing things for the state.
Right. As being at the top of 505 for 3+ years, and now dealing very closely for the last couple of 3 years with UNM, I'm extremely confident. The setup is here. The staff is here. It looks like our student athletes are here. It's time for all of us to just get together and make this happen. Basketball practice starts in about a week. We should have everyone here. If you're not a member of 505, go 505sports.org. We have access to practices. The coaches want people to attend. Get involved. We can share all sorts of information with you. Football tickets are on sale. There's all sorts of other ways you can contribute. You can get in touch with me, again, at 505sports.org. I'm all over town. The Lobo Club, the Lobo Athletic Department, the Lobo Alliance, we're all housed in the same building across from the pit. Get involved. Get on the phone. Let's do this. We're in a great place. New Mexico is a great place to live, and we're all better when the Lobos are thriving. It makes the whole town jump with excitement and energy. All right, so we talked a lot. Got 30 seconds. What else can we do?
The future for college athletics is now. We have a choice to make. We're asking everybody in the community to make that choice together. This is and can be a beautiful, amazing place. No one in Boise State or San Diego State or across the country is worried about what's happening in New Mexico. Let's make sure New Mexico takes care of New Mexico, and let's make sure we paint that future together.
Great. All right, Jalen, thanks for being on. We'll have you back. Everybody out there, 505sports.org. Like he said, Boise State, San Diego State, they don't care about it. Let's kick their butt, and let's get it together. Let's go forward. 505sports.org. We'll see you next week. Thanks for staying with us.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mirror here. And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay. We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention.